Hello, and welcome to the studio. If you're new here, my name is Nora, and I'm from Amsterdam, and this is a podcast about mostly knitting, sewing, tiny bit of spinning. I sew my own project bags and I eco-print them, and this is my podcast. If you're a returning viewer, welcome. It's lovely to have you back. Join me today as I tell you about all the cast-on mishaps, because, sometimes that happens. Let's do it. Alright, so before we get going, I wanted to show my new mug that I got. It's this one, and it has, can I show you without spilling? It has this blue inside, and it has this thumb hole for easy grabbing, and it's just lovely. I found it on Etsy, and I had her contact info, but I'll link it below. It's from Carrie Ceramics, and she's actually, I believe, a Swedish woman living in Amsterdam. And I was looking for a new mug because one of my favorite mugs broke, and then I found this on Etsy, but I actually found out that she has a website as well, and it's just a little bit more affordable on her website, which I understand because Etsy, how do you call that? If you sell on Etsy, you give them quite a bit of your money, which is logical because they provide the service for you. But if you're a bigger company, then usually people also do something off Etsy because it's just, you get to keep more money, which is nice. I hope you have something to keep you company, some knitting or spinning or a cup of coffee or a cat. And so as you might remember, last time in episode 7, I had a case of the castonitis. I cast on everything. I believe it was right before the May holidays, and the May holidays were great and I did a lot. And then after the holiday, on my first day of work, I had a case of COVID-19. So I had to stay in isolation for a week. My husband actually also caught it, and my cousin as well, and we think we got it at the same barbecue we all went to, even though it was outside and we kind of, kept our distance anyways, but what you gonna do? I was quite sad because I was very proud that I, working in education, had avoided catching it for, 2 years? But alas, I had to succumb sometime. So I spent a week mostly in bed, and I wasn't that sick anyways. I was just like coughing and my lungs hurt, but that's kind of normal for me. But ever since hold on. Yeah, done? But ever since I recovered from the COVID, I've just been so tired. Like most days I need a nap, and I have never been a nap person, but I have been napping my heart's content. Also with being very tired, I've completely lost my knitting mojo. I have tried to knit around every day, and it's just not happening. So I was a bit worried to record an episode, because I feel like when you're doing a knitting podcast, you have to show what you've been doing, and I haven't been doing a lot, really. But such is life, and I decided that I'm still going to show you where I'm at and talk to you about it and talk to you about my plans, because I do have some plans. So yeah, it's probably gonna be a shorter episode today, just because I've not been very productive, which is fine. Before we continue, I am wearing the Shelby dress by True Bias. It's a princess seam dress, and I made the full length version. And if you've seen my last episode, I was concerned with the other dress I was wearing, that it was very open. But I figured out that it was not the fact that it was open, because this has also quite the neckline for me personally, but I don't mind this one so much, and I think it's because this one is laying quite flat. So because it's princess seams, it's quite fitted. It's not super fitted, but it is hugging the forms. And the other one was a bit looser, and I think what annoyed me just like physically is the feeling of fabric just like fluttering over my skin, and this one lies a lot more quiet, and I think that is the difference. So things learned. Oh, also, so last episode I was very excited about Me Made May, and I was gonna try and make a picture every day and wear Me Mades. I did wear Me Mades. I mostly wore my pajama bottoms and a t-shirt because I was so ill. But I did not record. I think I took pictures 2 days and that's it. Then I was done. So I have no progress to show you there. I did wear Me Mades almost every day, but I usually do that because I've been sewing for a couple years. So there's just a lot to wear. And I have been wearing my Me Mades. I've been wearing dresses. I learned a lesson from Me Made May 2022, namely that I don't like fluttery things up here. So lessons learned. It's fine. We'll see how next year Me Made May goes. One more thing before we jump into the works in progress, namely that after the last episode I did my homework, and Studio Nora with my project bags has now international shipping. It's quite exciting. It's also a lot more work than I thought because you have to fill out all these tax forms and stuff. But I already made a sale to England, which went very fast. I think she got it in the space of a week and a half. And the other way around, I've had to wait for my stuff for months sometimes. And if all is well, my package that went to the USA also already arrived. It took a little bit longer. I think it took 25 days or something. But with the current state of the world, that, and I was happily surprised. So that's really exciting. If you've been thinking about getting something from Studio Nora and you live outside of the EU, you now can. You don't have to, of course, but if you want to, the option is there. So that's pretty cool, I think. All right, so let's talk castanitis gone wrong. Well, not wrong, but Let's see. My oldest whip that has not progressed at all is the Rift Tee by Jacqueline Kieslack. It's still here. I'm supposed to be knitting the front right now, but I haven't been. And I think what's been bugging me with this one is one, it needs a lot of purling right now because I'm going back and forth to build up the front and then back and forth to build up the back, and then you join the shoulder seams. But I think what's been bugging me is one, the purling, and two, because I'm knitting it in Mungo by Pomar, which is really nice it's a nice texture, but it's 50% wool and 50% cotton, and it's knit on slightly larger needles, 5.5, and I get really tired really quickly, and I think it's because the combination of larger needles and then the yarn that just has less give, I guess. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but if you knit with 100% cotton or linen, wool has natural stretch, but these cellulose fibers, I think you pronounce it, plant fibers, they don't really have that. So it's just, you have to the way you hold your tension is just harder on your fingers. And maybe it's different if you knit English style, but I knit continental, and my fingers just got really tired. I'm still really excited about the end result, so hopefully talking to you about it will give me some mojo to continue knitting on it. So that's whip number 1. I actually have it in a bag on my school. Our school emblem is Prometheus, because he brought fire to the people. Then another work in progress is the blanket that I'm trying to make. Actually, there's some squares, but I've reached an unfortunate mishap, namely that I sat on one of my needles and now it broke. So, and I don't have other 3.5 mil needles, so I need to get a new one. So I just can't really continue until I've done that. And I haven't been motivated to get new needles. Then, also not really continued on this, even though I'm excited about the end result, is my, it's all tangled up, our Busto sweater, which is a pattern by Rosa Pomar, and it's also in her Brusca yarn, which is 100% Portuguese and Saloia merino. I think I'm really excited about the outcome because it's like a raglan shape with baubles, as you can maybe see. I've chosen to make really small baubles. But there's something about this gauge that also makes my fingers really tired. And you really have to pay attention because every 12th row you have to do the bauble. So you can't really knit without thinking about it. You have to keep track or score in some way. And my brain has just not been up to that. So I don't know. On the pile it goes. Then, actually, a new cast on that I did talk about last time are the Hermione socks. Hermione Everyday Socks. It's a free pattern. I'll link it, not downstairs, down below. These are hair magnets, by the way. I'm knitting it in Mondim, also by Rosa Pomar. And I've gone past the cuff, and I'm now on the leg, and I was looking for a pattern that's really repetitive, and I never know how to pronounce this word. Meditative? That's not it. Meditative? It's like, for me, it should sound like repetitive, but that sounds wrong. Native English speakers, comment down below. But yeah, as you can see, the pattern is really subtle, but really nice. I like the combination of the green ribbing and then the orange rust leg. But again, like every project has a but. Because this is knit on sock needles, so this is what, 2.25 mil, I can't really nicely knit on it, when you're just knitting away, and it doesn't seem to work right now for me, which is kind of sad. So, yeah, I don't know. I do take it everywhere, and then I never pick it up. I even had a coaching session last week, and it was a really good coaching session. It's from my work, because I was burned out last year, so now I have a coach, which is really nice. And usually I knit while we talk, and this time she asked me, Nora, what happened? Where's your knitting? I was like, yeah, I don't know. I lost it for a bit, which happens, and it's fine, and I'm trying not to beat myself up about it. But yeah, I do miss it, but whenever I pick it up, it just doesn't really click. I have been sewing. So as you might know, I made the Winslow culottes for my grandmother a couple months back. I actually have to do an alteration on them because I used a blind zip, which looks really nice, but my grandmother has a lot of arthritis in her hands, and the zip is too delicate for her to zip up on her back. So I'm going to insert like a bigger zip, and I figured it all out. I'm going to still make it kind of a blind zip, but just with a bigger pull and bigger teeth, so it's just easier for her to put it on herself, because you don't really want clothing that you can't put on yourself. I mean, the occasional evening wear dress is fine, but if you live on your own and you can't zip up your pants. So I was working on those for her, and then I thought, why not make myself some too? I've shown this fabric before. It's from Kuka, Japan, and it's a cotton linen mix, so I thought that's perfect for summer. And I'm quite far. Let me hold it up in a manner that makes sense. I'm not sure if I can do that. Oh, hold on. Yes. So they're pants. I made one alteration. By the way, they're the Winslow Culottes by Helen's Closet Patterns, and I've made them before, but then I just followed the pattern completely. The only alteration that I always make is make them a little bit wider, because my waist is not very waisty compared to my hips. I'm quite straight. So what I do is I make them a tiny bit bigger, and then I put a broad elastic in the waistband, so it doesn't matter if I'm bloated or not, it will stay up, because otherwise it has to be very tight, because there's not a natural like curve on which it can rest. So I usually just put in the elastic, which I always do, but this time, and I did the same for my grandmother's, I made slash pockets, which I will, so they're right here. And I don't have enough fabric, I think, so I lined them in a different color, and I can show you on the inside. One of the features my grandmother loves best is that the pockets are huge, because these are the pockets on the inside. So I picked them up in a waistband as well, so they don't drag. And they fit your whole hand and more. So if you have a ridiculously big phone, they still fit. My small phone also fits, my hands fit, everything fits. It's great. The only thing left for me to do is insert the invisible zip, because my hands are still good. And then I can sew down the waistband, insert the elastic, and hem them up. And then I have nice summery Winslow culottes. I have some fabric left, but this fabric is really narrow. So usually fabric is like 45 or 55 inches. So that's like 140 to 150 or 60 centimeters broad. And this was only 40 inches, I believe. So I had to do some piecing as well. And some modifications, and I do have fabric left, but it's in bits and pieces, so I think I will piece it together and then maybe try to get an Ashton top out of it, which is also a pattern by Helen's Closet Patterns, and I think it will be very nice. So I have been doing stuff, but if I'm honest, it has really been me going upstairs, sewing 2 seams, and then being tired and going back down. But it does, with sewing, it just, like, if you sew a seam, it makes a difference, you know. If you knit like one round, you don't really see the difference, but if you knit or if you sew a seam, you can really say, oh, look at that, I did something. So that's been helping me a bit. So I think this is the last of my whips. I cast some stuff on and then I ripped it out again because I wasn't happy. Some things for my cousin, or my nephew actually, but I wasn't feeling it. The gauge was too small, the needles were too small, the yarn was too small. Sometimes body just says no. Alright, I want to show you one more thing before we head on to plans, because I do have some plans, which is my wheel. And I told you last time that I bought some new roving, or just wool to spin. And I spun up a little bit. Will you look at that? I'm just going random. I have 3 bags of colors, which I will show you. So I have this blue gray, and then blue purple, and then like orange green. There's also some pink in it, and I'm not the biggest fan of pink, but a little pink can't hurt. And I've just been randomly plucking bits from it and pre-drafting it and spinning it. I am very much a novice spinner, but I think it's gonna look cool. So there is no rhyme or reason to it. I'm just doing it randomly. I spun about half spool, and I'm busy with the other spool. And then because I only have 3 spools, so if you want to ply it and you have a full, what's it called, a bobbin? Is it a bobbin or a spool? One of these. I only have 3 of these, so if this was full and the other one is full, then it takes more than the one left over, the one empty, to ply it up. So that would mean that you ply until bobbin or spool, whatever it's called, is full. Then you have to skein that up, and then you have to continue. So I just thought I'd do it a bit more carefully. I have a Kiwi 3 Ashton wheel. It's a double throttle. Let me actually, hold on. So we're still renovating. We've been renovating for almost a year. And we're doing it all ourselves, so it takes a lot of time. So don't mind all the boxes, but I'm going to show you. So this is my wheel. Ashford double throttle, and it has this little, oh, it's a little Kiwi. Even though it's called the Kiwi 3, I actually named her Gwendolyn. I don't know, Gwendolyn just sounds to me as a wheel name. I don't know why, but she's called Gwendolyn. Also, I haven't been in the mood to spin really, but I do love looking at her. And she lives in our fireplace, because we have 2 mantelpieces, big mantelpieces, and she lives in one of them, and CV lives in the other one. I might show you a picture, because I can imagine that what I just showed you was a bit wonky. Okay, so I have 2 plans left for you, and well, maybe 3, and I have a recommendation for you, and then I'm gonna let you go. So one of my plans is this afternoon, I'm going to, after I finish recording, I'm going to wash my hair because it has exploded, which always takes some time. And then I'm going to try and make cinnamon roll cake for the first time ever. I've never made cinnamon rolls. I'm always really intimidated by things that need yeast because of the proofing and proofing it's called, when it has to rise. But I found this recipe through one of my favorite YouTubers, who's called Athena Meller. She lives in Cumbria in England, and she makes the most beautiful videos. Some of them are like vlogs and stay at home, but she's very outdoorsy, she and her partner, and they do a lot of hiking and van life, but they're just, I've been watching her on repeat. I have to say, I went back to like the first lockdown. She has more videos, but I started at the first lockdown, and I've just been going through them like It's like I was addicted. And she, in one of her vlogs, she made a cinnamon roll cake from a book called Scandalicious Baking. And it looks so good. And I love cinnamon, and I love cinnamon rolls. So I just thought, why not make them myself? So I got the ebook of the cooking book, and I'm going to try and make them. If you are in the market for just beautiful videos on the outdoors, and it's mostly outdoors, I guess. She has a lovely dog, Athena Meller. I'll link her down below. So that's one plan, baking. Second plan, I'm very excited because my cousin, no, she's not my cousin. In Dutch, she would be my achternicht. She's my mum's cousin. So my mum and her cousin, their mothers were sisters. So I guess she's also my cousin, or one. I don't know how it works in English. One's removed on. I just call her my aunt or my auntie, and she lives in South America, in Uruguay. And in my family, there's 3 people with my hair. Me, my cousin, first cousin, and then my auntie. We're the only ones with this hair, so it must come through my grandmother's line in the family. And I haven't seen her since before the pandemic started. So February, before the pandemic started, I just visited her for a week in Uruguay, and then I came back. Well, I flew back and I saw these people with masks on in a plane, and I thought, whatever are they on about? Isn't this a bit of overreacting? And then, a week later, we went into lockdown. So that's the last time I saw her. And she's coming to visit this summer for a month and a bit, and I'm so excited. And when I last visited her, I already had this dress. It's one of the first things I sewed. I didn't think that princess seams were difficult or anything, so I just jumped right in, which is, brave, because I didn't know any better. And when I was there, she said, Nora, I love this dress. Could you make me one? And I said, of course. So when I came back, we went looking for fabric online, and we got this fabric. It's been folded up for 2 years because I didn't see, I didn't want to make it and have her not come. So it's this fabric. It's a bit of like tie-dye batik. It's viscose, just like my dress. And I'm gonna make her a Shelby dress. So I really have to get going now because she's gonna be here in a month and a half, and I'm so excited. I got her new measurements because in the time between now when I last saw her, she's actually been sick and she lost some weight. And the good thing is that this dress has some room, and I'm going to make one modification. So my dress has 2 ties at the back in the 2 back seams to pull it together. But for her, I'm actually going to make like a lace corset tie, so multiple loops, so you can cinch it a bit nicer. Excuse me. So that's my plan. I already had the pattern printed again, so that I can cut it out on her size. I don't think I need to make any modifications because she actually has her measurements. Let's just say that she's less straight than I am in the hip department, so that's nice. And with ties at the back, it will just fit anyways. I hope, fingers crossed. So I'm going to do that, and I'm really excited about it. So those are my plans. If you have any advice on sewing for people that you can't fit while sewing, because I've sewed for other people, but then I was always able to go over, try it on, make some modifications, etc. And I really want to have this dress finished before she gets here. But I've never sewed for somebody without being able to fit. Like, I have all her measurements, but it's, I want it to be right. So if you have any tips regarding that, please let me know. Okay, I have one recommendation before... Oh no, wait, I have one more plan actually. I was thinking about just putting all my works in progress on pause, just ignoring them for a good while, casting on a no-frills sweater in the green merino that I got from Studio Solas recently, and just doing that, because I know that pattern is just, it's raglan increases, and then it's just straight on, just knit, stockinette. And I really need something like that. So I might just ignore the whole pile of whips and cast that on and just knit. That might be good for me. What do you think? Cast on something new with reckless abandon and avoid all the whips that are staring at me right now, or muddling through, powering through, finishing some of that, and then casting on something new. I don't know. Any advice, please? So the last thing I have is a recommendation for you. So a lot of people seem to enjoy the little montage I did of my eco printing, but I'm not an expert on eco printing at all. And what got me into it is a documentary I saw on YouTube called Captured by Color: Introduction to Natural Dyes. And it's an hour long, and it's a documentary on Trudi Pollard. I think that's how you pronounce it. She's Australian, and she's been eco printing and natural dyeing for a long time. And she takes you through all kinds of ways to eco print and dye naturally with things from your garden, kitchen waste, things she finds in a bush. The only thing is I don't have a bush because I don't live in Australia. But I do have, parks nearby, but it's not really the same kind of vegetation. But still, it's really interesting. So I'll link that down below because it's free and it's great to watch. So if you're in the market for a documentary on eco printing and natural dyeing, that's one I heartily recommend. All right, I think that is all for today. I hope you have a lovely week and that I get to see you again soon. Any advice on anything I said or thoughts, please share them with me. Also on the topic of not being productive at all, how do you get your knitting mojo back? I don't know. Advice is welcome. All right, I'm going to let you go. Be kind to yourself and take care.